Do you think entrepreneurs often make the mistake of modeling themselves around the Jobs who left Apple, who was sort of arrogant and brash in some sense, and not so much with the Jobs when he returned, when he was sort of far more humble and sort of far more down to earth in some sense? Do you think entrepreneurs make that mistake, and that's when he got a lot of success?
In my travels, in my reading, online technology, blogs and journals and things, there are an awful lot of people. There are 1 million people that think, oh, you could just be kind of a nobody and just think weirdly and you can make things. But remember that Steve Jobs tried to create computer after computer after computer inside of Apple, and all he did was fail. He failed every time, sometimes for marketing reasons, usually because he didn't know the technology involved and what it would cost and how to make it right. Even Macintosh wasn't really even a computer. It was just a program to look, to Steve Jobs' eyes, like a computer should look. And later we had to kind of hash things on and not have a true operating system. So many years later we had to buy a real operating system from Steve. So I think a lot of people that way. Now in my travels, I run into a lot more people that don't bring it up that way really so much. But they really like that. Steve Jobs, who was a wild character, they didn't see the bad sides of his personality. There were an awful lot of times that he did things to people that if your own child ever did, you would never want them to ever grow up that way. And if you saw anybody do them, you'd say, how could a person be so insensitive? How could a person do those things? So there are an awful lot, but you don't get to see those. Mm-hmm. Not very many of them, because they aren't in front of the press.
One thing that stands out about you is that, and it's sort of evident in this interaction, is that you never really cared much about money. And yet, you've been very successful financially as well. So what's the trick that you'd give this wonderful audience in terms of a philosophy towards money?
Different people are different. My philosophy was life is not about achievement that's measured by money. It's about happiness of just smiling and versus frowns, entertainment, joking, movies. It could be concerts and music, but always have a lot of fun. Make jokes, make pranks, and minus frowns. Happiness is smiles minus frowns. Don't get so worried about politics or business or following stocks every day. It's just going to make you less happy. And what was the question?
Your philosophy on money.
Philosophy of money. My money, yeah. So when we started Apple, I was the only one that wasn't after, oh, you can get a bunch of money from this. And there were three founders of the second time we started Apple. 3 founders, and we all owned it equally. Steve Jobs, myself, and our investor, Mike Markkula. But I had never thought it was so much more money than we could ever want in our lives. And then 10 times that, and then 10 times that. It was just so unreal, and I didn't want to be one of those people. I had decided when I was young, talking to my father, I just wanted to be like in the middle, pretty much. And I found wonderful people that wanted to start museums for children, museums for technology, arts groups for the community. In the city I was born in, I invested in all those projects at a very early time.
A lot of people compare Steve Jobs with Elon Musk, and you recently said on Musk that he often doesn't deliver on the hype. Do you see similarities between them, if any?
Steve Jobs and Elon Musk were very good salesmen in their sense, and very good speakers, and could convince you of things you had. Generally, Steve Jobs delivered, sometimes a little late. Elon Musk, almost every time I bought a Tesla, I bought it thinking I had one thing and found out, no, I had less than that. And then I bought the next one, thinking I had a car that would drive itself across the country by the end of 2016. Whoa, that's a fantastic idea that a car could someday drive itself. And no, they had to fire their sensor company because it could never do it, put in new sensors with 8 cameras, and now the car could drive itself across the country by the end of 2017. And no, it can't. And now the car that we have, they're putting in new higher power processors, and they're only going to write the software that works in that. So I don't believe that they're ever going to have a car anyway, maybe any company, at least for decades, that will really drive itself level 5 autonomous driving all by itself with no human inside. I'm not sure that's going to happen except in very specific, well-known, constrained areas where nothing is different than it's trained for. It's like, you show Google 80,000 pictures of a dog and it knows what a dog is, 80,000 pictures of this highway, 80,000 pictures of this sign, this light. I mean, even seeing a stoplight is hard for a human when the sun is in the background. So there's a lot of changes that are going to have to be made in the infrastructure, and it's not going to go as fast as they think. And I believe that Tesla, despite all of its credibility, by the way, you watch movies and TV shows, they always make fun of Elon Musk for not being believable. And Tesla seems to be way behind all the other companies for self-driving cars. Mm-hmm. Yes, They don't have a self-driving car. Oh, they say we have automatic cruise control. Wait a minute. I've had that since 2004. They say, oh, we have automatic steering. No, you don't. You have a human that says, I'm beta test, I have to sign away. Any accidents are my fault. I have to be the one responsible. That's not self-steering. So they don't even have that, and yet there's other companies that have cars continually drive all by themselves all over the place, with the LiDAR attachments on top and all.
Another reason why people admire you is your ability to spot breakthrough innovation, and talking about that, obviously blockchain and Bitcoin. And people here, I'm sure, are envious of the fact that you invested in Bitcoin when it was what, $700, and you got out of it at its peak. So how did you know when to buy, and more importantly, how did you know when to sell?
No. I first tried to buy Bitcoin when it was 70. I bought something around 300. I did not invest in Bitcoin. You said invest. Never. I don't invest. I don't have any stocks except for Apple stock. I've never used Apple's stock app on my iPhone. I don't want to follow things up and down and care about them every day. That's the thing that makes you frown. So I had a bunch of Bitcoin, and the reason I had it was so that I could someday travel and not use credit cards or wallet or cash. I could do it all on Bitcoin. I studied how to find which restaurants and which hotels and which facilities accepted Bitcoin. It's very difficult to do still. I also wanted to buy things online and trade Bitcoin online, and I managed to go through a lot of those steps. I did it to experiment. And then all of a sudden it went so up in value. I had kind of, a small fortune that I did not make from investing, and I didn't want to watch the price every day. Is it 20,000? Is it 18,000? Is it 15? I didn't want to watch it anymore, so I sold all my Bitcoin except one. It's enough to experiment with. And then I discovered I also had bought some Ethereum when it was new, I guess for zero. I had a reason, I guess, and I forgot I had it. So I made another fortune on that one, and I sold it all. Because I don't want to follow it. I'm not an investor, but I do want to study it, watch it, and see how it works. Now, Bitcoin to me originally was a currency that is not manipulated by governments. It is mathematical, it is pure, it can't be altered. The blockchain everywhere identifies who has what Bitcoin, every transaction's ever been done. It doesn't mean there can't be fraud. I had 7 Bitcoins stolen from me through fraud. Somebody bought out this one little bank, online wallet's Bitcoin, bought it all out with credit card, and then canceled the credit card payment. That easy, and it was stolen credit card number, so you can never get it back. So Bitcoin is that, but I look at it more. Blockchain. What is this blockchain? It is a technology that all over the world I'm seeing people take applications that want to keep track of everything in, healthcare and purchasing systems and where materials come from, and just track everything in the world. I'm hoping someday it'll displace Facebook, and I can say, I'm going to give you my data, but you have to pay me this much if you ever use it. I'm hoping blockchain could have a solution to that. Blockchain, there's no central company that runs the thing. It's just once it gets out there, and Ethereum is a platform, like our computers are platforms. You can build a lot of applications on one platform. And Ethereum is designed to be a whole system of code that you can adapt to your own applications. So I think that one I'm finding has more value, I think, for the future than even Bitcoin. But I'm hoping for the best. I think it's going to go very slowly. Right now, you don't see very many blockchain applications really taking off. You don't even necessarily say Bitcoin taking off, other than we're all aware of it. Use some real critical use that you've got to have it. So where is it happening? I think back to the early start of the internet. Oh, we imagine that someday on the internet, you're going to do all your restaurants and your airline reservations and your time schedules for trains, and you're going to do all your purchasing and everything. Everything's going to be internet.
What's your sense on how jobs will be 5 years, 10 years down the line?
Well, there are a lot of things that take jobs that exist and they disappear. Sometimes companies just fail because they're not competitive. Sometimes the jobs get shifted offshore to some other country. Sometimes the jobs get replaced by machines. Well, obviously there's people that have to run the machines and make the machines and design the machines and engineering. I'll tell you, if you go into materials handling as a college curriculum, university curriculum, you've got it made. There are so many jobs in that category. Now, we've been replacing people with machines since, I don't know, at least 200 years ago. Manchester, England, where they learned to make real cheap cloth and clothing, in a factory setting. And from then on, then we learned to make cars with, industrial automation and all that. And now we've got robots doing a lot of that work. all this change has been going on. Where do the jobs don't disappear? There's kind of jobs for most everyone when the economy is good. Economies have ups and downs. So I don't really see any reason to say why should all the jobs disappear just because we can see a place where one job might get replaced by a machine. There's going to be a lot more jobs building those machines. There will be social displacement, people without jobs, people needing to be taken care of, they don't have an income, and that's a horrible thing. You know, I wish they were taken care of better, but in the end, the next generation has just different types of jobs. The types of jobs shift. It doesn't happen rapidly. It's, you know, all of a sudden a lot of people lose their job. You can't instantly find a new job necessarily. All you can do is complain.
We played a rapid fire with Shah Rukh Khan, so I think since you're a legend, I think I'm going to try my luck with a quick rapid fire round with you as well. Have you ever used a phone that's not Apple? You used Google, Samsung?
Many times, all the time. I carry a lot of phones.
So which is your favorite non-Apple phone?
Pixel 2, Google Pixel 2. Hands down. And I've been through so many Android phones. And I see, ever since the Galaxy S3, I really wouldn't look at people and say, you have a lousy phone. You know, and some people in Apple didn't like me saying those sort of things, but I like to experiment. I'm a technology experimenter. I like to buy. I have about 10 phones maybe, and I like to buy them, and I like to try all the different carriers. I've got 5 carriers in the United States, and I just like to compare things that way. Personal. I don't like to do it by reading things, and I find which phones kind of feel good and fit me well. And I'm an iPhone person, but I definitely like other products as well, and sometimes they actually save me.
The best piece of technology that you've ever owned?
Best piece of technology I've ever owned is, I'm going to say my MacBook Pro computer. I'm tending towards my latest one, the Apple Watch. I can't explain. I do not like middlemen in anything. I don't like middlemen in economies, any steps you can cut out. You have improved the world and made it more efficient, and that's what engineering's about. And I don't like the extra steps of even taking a phone out of my pocket if I can do it on my watch. You know, hey Siri, text Janet.
Last question, favorite entrepreneur today and why?
Favorite entrepreneur today and why? It's difficult because we read about a few famous ones, and there's probably ones that are more like I was, going into the laboratory and hooking up and wiring and hooking things and building things and being a real inventor today. And the trouble is, I'm just not close to those. So I only read what we all read. And I like Elon Musk very much as an inventor, despite the fact that he can sell me a lot of stuff that I think I'm getting and I'm not. And truth is important to me. He has the vision. How do you change the world to go from gasoline cars that put out some dirty substances to electric cars that don't?